So this next person I'm going to introduce is a very close friend of mine. His name is Craig Taylor. So Craig Taylor builds educational facilities and designs programs that combat community issues in underdeveloped areas around the world. His goal is to create opportunities and prosperity in every community he visits. Everyone welcome Craig Taylor. Craig Taylor.
Good intro.
Yo, you're in the basement.
What's going on? Yeah, I had to switch up offices since I'm down here most of the time anyway.
Yeah, right. Are you keeping busy?
I'm trying to. You know, we all have so much to do. You'd think that being home and out away from outside would make you have less work to do, but you have more because so many things to fix.
Yeah, man, I feel you.
Nice time.
So for sure. So I think we should just go, give a little intro, who you are, what you're all about, and then I have a few questions I'll ask you.
Oh, yeah, great. I actually spoke to Charlie and Steve and decided that I'm definitely going to go with just talking about Only Love here.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
logos everywhere. So I'm Craig Taylor. I was formerly a teacher in Queens, New York, and the government hired me to be a program director for all underperforming schools around New York City. And the things that I saw within, the education system here just made me want to do more research in education around the world, because I saw a lot of bad things happening to kids here, and kids that are from underdeveloped areas, from poor areas. And I just wanted to learn about what I can do more to help them. So I traveled the world to learn, to do some research, and what I found, which you found because you've been with me, is that it's really bad. It's worse than what's happening here, worse than anything I could have imagined. And I spent the last 4 years trying to do something about it.
So what were some of those things that you witnessed that you're saying worse than here?
Kids from kindergarten and up, that's 5 years old and up, walking to school barefoot up to 2.5 hours in dirt. A lot of kids go to school for about 10 hours a day, and they only eat one meal a day at 12 noon, and then they don't have any extra meals to eat for the rest of the day. They're not promised another piece of food until the next day at school. So hunger was a big issue. In a place called Kibera, it's the largest slum in the world, and poverty there is extreme. People have been living there for well over 100 years, and there's no way for them to possibly get out. They're in there just with their own diseases and garbage and fecal matter and dead bodies, and there's nowhere to put them, nowhere to take them out of the town. There's no garbage man, there's no doctors, nobody cares about them. They take care of themselves. And it's just incredible that what we see here as far as poverty goes, or in developed countries, even the poorest people have opportunities to go to school and have multiple meals a day, have a roof over their head. But these people don't even have that. People are living in 8 foot by 8 foot huts with up to 15 people living in there. So it was incredible to see.
Yeah, it's the next level, man. So for a little background, I have been working with Craig with Only Love Foundation for like a year, maybe 2 years now. Yeah. So we came back from Kibera, Kenya, where he was just talking about where there's 100 years of garbage just stacked up, and it's just never going to go anywhere. They try and burn it, but they can't even burn it at the rate that they produce it. So we've been working for a while. We were there in November, and I got to witness it firsthand, and it kind of opened my eyes. I kind of had like a breakthrough, like one of those things that they mentioned, and it was a lot. So it's really good work everyone's doing here with Only Love, so you guys go check it out. So how do we tie in the Only Love mission? Because what is the mission of Only Love?
To bring prosperity to people that otherwise wouldn't have a chance for it.
And how do we tie that into sustainability? That ties in.
Oh, absolutely. It ties to sustainability because it's not only about education. We named it Only Love Foundation because we're going to do more than just educate. You see at the logo, you can see at the top over here, it's the earth. It's the earth with a heart in it, and that's for a reason, because we want to actually bring love from everybody in the world and heal the world of all of its, all the negative things that are happening in it. So sustainability-wise, each community that we work in, we're not like a bunch of organizations that they see a problem, they go in and they fix it and then leave. A lot of people don't realize when you go into a community and, you know, do a little bit of work there and assuming that you fix something without, you know, keeping a sustainable, you know, project going there, they leave and feel like what their job is done, but the job is really never done. So the way that we set it up is we go into a community that has a need, and we build. We do research to see, you know, what's hindering them from prospering, which hindering them from health, which hindering them from education. And after fixing that, we stay. Our team stays. We constantly go back multiple times a year to make sure that it's continuing to grow until they can handle it themselves. A major example of sustainability is our area in Homa Bay, Kenya, where we built a permaculture farm. So the same place that I said that these kids only ate once a day, we built a permaculture farm that's about the size of maybe 5 football fields, and we grow thousands of fruits and vegetables there. And we didn't just go, you know, plant seeds and grow this food. We taught the entire community how to do that themselves, so they no longer need us. And that is the definition for me of sustainability, doing something where the community no longer needs your help because they know how to do it themselves. So now that farm has been sustainable by itself for the last 3 years. There's no such thing as eating once a day anymore. Hunger is ended in multiple areas around Homa Bay. People in different villages and different countries surrounding Kenya now know how to grow food in their own backyard without us even intervening in anything on their land. And that's the definition of sustainability. They know how to do it themselves, and it's an ongoing process without any interference.
For sure. For sure. You mentioned permaculture. Maybe just run over what that is, because maybe not everyone knows what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. So permaculture is basically a new concept, but it's basically farming. So farming says, you know, basic farming says you can't grow avocado and, I don't know, olives in your backyard because you live in New York and it's wintertime and it doesn't work that way. Well, permaculture, the concepts of permaculture just teaches you that you can grow anything anywhere in the world as long as you know the proper techniques on how to do it. So we're growing things in Homa Bay that otherwise you wouldn't have been able to think you could grow there because the soil is different or the climate is different. But if you know the proper techniques on how to grow those things, you can. Permaculture says that you can. You just have to learn how to do that, if that explains it properly.
No, it makes sense, and it's something like people wouldn't really think is possible. Like if the soil's no good, you can't grow it, and you got to find somewhere else, and you got to use it all. Oh, what's up, Kayla?
Hey, Kayla.
So why do you think it's important that people know about Only Love Foundation, what you're doing, and how can they get more involved?
I think it's important to know, especially during this time, because we're in a time where we're having to figure out how to do things for ourselves. You know, we can't go out and have the world do everything for us anymore. We can't shop. We can't eat what we want. We can't wear what we want. We have to figure out how to sustain ourselves. And I think right now, in learning about yourself and how to sustain yourself at home will teach you how to bring that into life once this epidemic is over. And I think it could bring us all closer together. It could teach us how to help everybody around us and how to get everybody around us to help us. So bring a community together. And, you know, to get involved more, we always love people that do research in other countries that we don't know about and tell us what's going on there, so we can see what we can do to help. We're always on the ground, as you know, all over the world. We're always inviting people to come with us. We have multiple trips a year, and we always love people of all expertises to come. You don't need a specific, you know, skill set. Everybody knows how to do something. Everybody has some kind of love in their heart to which they can translate into teaching people in a different community something, because at the end of the day, people from that side of the world have no idea of what's going on this side of the world. What you think is plain and basic to them would be completely fascinating. So just getting more people on board, following our social media, seeing what we're up to, and, you know, just engaging with us on giving us information on what they know.
Awesome. I mentioned before that I had like a breakthrough kind of moment when I went. Did you have that kind of experience that I'm mentioning, like that, like where it was like, wow, this is really eye-opening?
Yeah, can I explain to them a little more about yours?
You go for it. Yeah.
So hey guys, all the 30 people that are in here and that I'll watch later. So, you know, I've been trying. Joe's been to Africa with me twice. Once to South Africa, one to Kenya. First, South Africa is a beautiful place, but yes, it has its impoverished areas. It has its poverty. But for a lot of people that we brought on that trip, they thought that was the worst they've ever seen, because when I went to South Africa for the first time, I thought that was the worst I've ever seen. That was actually my breakthrough moment, on a bicycle riding through the slum called Kliptown in Johannesburg. It broke my heart to see that. I cried at night. But I tried to explain to Joe before he came to Kibera, he's just like, how could it be worse than what we saw? Because I would have said the same exact thing. And then we get there and you see that there's levels to poverty and levels to, poor living and, poor ways of life. And it was way worse than anything we've seen in South Africa. And it's just, I don't know.
My experience, I broke down.
Yeah.
Actually, I was looking at the wall because it was like, it was nice art. That's what I was doing.
And you actually broke down before that. So Joe interviewed a lady that lived with 5 people in a hut that's about as big as you can. No, my basement right now is way bigger than where the place we interviewed that lady. And
it's like 5 of them.
Yeah, seriously, it is like 5 of them. And after that, what did she say to you? I think she said something like,
no, she said, she's like, we had this conversation and she told us like how she makes $1 a day for her whole family. That's what they make, $1 a day. And that was a lot. Then we got through it. It was like a 30-minute interview. Then we walked out and she's like, I'm going to pray for you. And that sentence just kept going through my head. It just kept going through my head the whole time. After we left and while I'm walking, and then I keep hearing, she's going to pray for me. Like how I couldn't fathom it. And then I just was crying for like an hour.
Yeah. So I definitely, to go back to your question, I had 2 of those breakdowns. One was before I even started Only Love Foundation in Brooklyn, where I was a program director. I had hired 14 teachers to educate over 300, 400 students in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, that were from single-parent homes. They're from shelters. And, these kids were in bad shape. The only option, in life was to join gangs. And, one poor kid, he got made fun of because he was really poor and had a pink book bag. He was a little boy. Another kid was an 8th grader that was a drug dealer. He was arrested. And those things actually broke me and forced me to create something to do more for kids around the world. So I had that same breakdown multiple times, just seeing the different levels of poverty that there are.
Yeah, that story. The story. You want to tell that story about the backpack?
Yeah. So one boy in the middle school in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, he lived with his mom and 2 sisters in a shelter in Brooklyn. And they were very poor. He had a pink hand-me-down book bag with princesses on it. It was probably like 8 years old book bag. So, one day he's leaving my program and his book bag just turns to dust. The bottom of his bag just breaks out and gives away. And all of his books, pens, pencils, crayons, and everything falls on the floor. And while he's picking them up, all of the older kids, bigger kids, standing around him, pointing down at him, calling him poor, dirty, laughing at him. And something about that moment that did something for me is this kid didn't do anything that one of us would do, Joe. Like I would have wanted to either cry or I would have wanted to fight, depending on the situation. But this kid just picked up his stuff with a smile on his face and walked out the door as if nothing was wrong. And that moment did something to me because it says a lot about humans.
Yeah, man. So it's funny. Your moment came before you went there, before you actually went.
Yeah. I actually, because of the moments that happened to me in my job in Brooklyn, I actually quit that job and, started traveling the world to do more for more people.
Mm-hmm. So Matt's saying, how can he help? Are there any programs set up right now? I guess it's kind of all up in the air because of COVID, right?
Absolutely up in the air. We had 2 trips coming up. One was to Guatemala, where we were going to help out this organization called Niños de Guatemala with a bunch of kids that were orphaned and hungry and don't have education resources. And this upcoming trip in July was supposed to be to Kenya, where we're going to build another school and build multiple computer labs, bring hundreds of computers with the amount of people that we're going to bring. And unfortunately, both of those trips got shut down. We lost thousands of dollars because of the money that we spent on everything that we were going to do there. So right now we're just in limbo like everybody else is, just trying to figure out what to do next. Currently, I'm just trying to set up different phases within Only Love Foundation and Only Love Travel Club to be ready for what happens next after this quarantine is over. So it's a bunch of things that you can do to help once this thing is over. You guys can donate by going to onlylovefoundation.org. Oh, here, man. But onlylovefoundation.org. Check out our social media to see all of our work, because the work that we do is I like to say that it's a lot different than other organizations, because when you give us $1, you literally see me or Joe or any of our teammates on the ground in those countries building the things that we told you we were going to build with your funding. So that's Only Love.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, those headphones just died. You see what happens when you're live? Wow. All right. So Ryan has a question. What are some things that some of these underdeveloped countries can teach us? I feel like we have a lot to learn from them. That's a great question.
I love that question. And it comes up rarely, but I love when it comes up, because I feel like, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, we learn a lot more from them than they learn from us. We learn how to love each other. We learn that, money isn't everything. We learn that without having things, we learn that things are the situations that help people get depressed and get upset in life, because we have so many things to fight over. A person's love, a car, clothing, just things, luxuries. When over there, they don't have anything, and you would assume that they would be sad and crying and fighting, but what they show us on TV and on the news is completely false. All those people have over there is love, and I think that's the most important thing that we can take away from them. While we're over here fighting over things that don't even matter, they have everything to be sad about. They have everything to fight about, yet they just love each other.
For sure. So where can people donate? Did we answer that one yet?
Yeah, but I'll answer it again. You can go to the donate page on onlylovefoundation.org. You can donate at PayPal, paypal.com/onlylovefoundation.
Awesome, Craig. Any closing words? Do we have any more questions? Joe Rizzo, I don't see ticket prices. How do we donate? So Only Love Foundation, Shelly wants to know, onlylovefoundation.org, and you could figure out everything out from there, Shelly. It's good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well.
Shelly.
Yeah. All right, Craig. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope we get back out on the field soon.
I know. Same.
And yeah, man, no problem. I was going to say I dreamt about Africa a couple nights ago.
Oh, I dream about it all the time. I can imagine it. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joe. Everybody that put this together. I really appreciate being a part of this.